Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a good week thus far. How was yours, man?
It was good. It was good. Nothing really, nothing major. Just kind of enjoyed the long weekend. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Finally got that goddamn chicken coop built.
Yeah, I seen it, man. This was nice. Like,
well, it's. I was intending to build the thing out of like just all repurposed wood and just kind of scrounge it together out of materials that I could find.
Yeah.
And that just didn't work out because
I
I wanted to get.
You had a lot of wood, so I was surprised you weren't able to do it. But I mean, if you have to go out there and actually get the right shit, I mean, it makes sense to do it right instead of kind of jimmy rigging it.
Well, I needed to build an enclosure, so I wanted to try to get some like used chain link fence panels and stuff.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody trying to come off that shit. Like, fucking, there was this one that was like rusted. It was fucked up, and I was like, I mean, I'll come take it apart and get it off your property. He's like, nah, I want like $100.
What?
I was like, you want me to bring a crack pipe for you too? But no, yeah, it worked out. It worked out. I ended up just biting the bullet and getting a brand new one from Tractor Supply. And
okay. I mean, I've been seeing like here and there. Like I've been all this week. I've been going on Craigslist and like they have a lot of, you know, if you go to the free section, there's just, I mean, you might come up on some stuff, but you know, if you don't catch it, it's gone before you know it. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of shit going on, dude.
Golly, man.
I don't like.
It just feels like. Is it just a lot of shit going on, or like is shit getting worse? Because like I don't know if those things are one and the same, but and with.
I think the real question is there more shit going on, or is there just more? We just have more access to the information, and now we know all of the shit that's going on all at once.
Yeah. Like even things that like happen, like there's no like delay, like it used to be, where you know, because you see it on Twitter, you see it on Instagram, you see it wherever, like, and maybe 30 minutes, everybody has their phone out, so it's one of those things where it's like we're getting this constant information. It's like it's not bumming me out, but it's like enough.
Some of the shit's depressing. Some of the shit's like, is this real life?
I mean,
Doug, there's still people stuck in Afghanistan.
You gotta figure this has always been life. This like people forget.
I don't accept that, bro. It's 2021. We can do better. We need to do better.
Like we talk about over here, like I can only imagine all these different places. Like this is regular shit for them over there. Like this is Tuesday.
Oh yeah, we're sheltered as fuck.
Like it's not even. I'm certain things you can help with, but I'm tired of this performative, like spread awareness. Like again, I think I said this maybe a couple times on this podcast. You're not willing to actually go over there. You're not willing to actually do something. Just you don't need to talk about everything, especially shit you don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah,
like saying nothing is not like not compliance, or that's another word that's escaping me right now. It's not you accepting it, but realistically, like, you know, you just tweeting a whole bunch about stuff, or even these putting money into these places, or these different companies that say donate $1 here, donate. I'm being honest. I'm very leery about donating to any causes. at this point in my life right now. Like, I need to, like, I was donating to this one heifer, and I'm like, I didn't really have any,
what is that?
So apparently you can basically buy like a goat, or you can buy like a pig, or this for like a family, some like for like $20 a month. So they have different packages. So it goes from all the way from like 10 to like 50, 100, where you could buy like a whole cow or some shit like that, which is supposed to feed a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time. And I'm like, and when I was donating things like that, and they were giving, they gave me like this little tote, and I'm just like, I was looking into the company. It seems an up and up, but some of these.
What are the logistics of that? Are they just dropping off livestock at somebody's front door? Are they butchering it and giving them the meat? How is that working? Are they just dropping off a cow and saying good luck? Now you got to feed it, kill it if you want, but you got to deal with all the work.
I'm not sure. They didn't really go into detail about that.
I feel like that's something that should be going into detail.
Which
just the logistics. You don't got to go into who's killing the animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how is that working?
Yeah, like even stuff like that, I was doing it, but like, I honestly, even though like it wasn't anything to me, and if I spend money on Netflix or whatever else, any types of dumb shit, it's just like, I don't feel like it's doing anything. Like, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I need to start seeing where these things go. Like, from the actual people, I don't need ambassadors or things like that. People that, I'm sorry, you don't look like you're from the region. Like, I need somebody that's like, you're on the ground.
That's almost racist. It almost sounds racist. Judging people by the way they look, their appearance. What region are we talking about? Why don't they look like the region, Aaron?
Because they're not from the region.
What region is it?
Follow your view.
That's racist. No.
Nah, but honestly, I'm like, I understand people want to do, like, they want to make a change in the world, especially these people that are a lot younger than us that have this very idealistic thing of how the world is, and
they don't understand. There's a saying that if you're younger and you're not liberal, you don't have a heart. But if you're older and you're not conservative, you have no brain.
I've never heard of that before, but that kind of makes...
Well,
I could kind of see that. I mean,
Well, if you pay attention, people, as they get older, tend to be a little more conservative. And it varies across the board, but you tend to be a little bit more conservative with things as you
become more realistic of how the world works. Like, idealism is great. Like, I try to live in the world that is now with things that are going. Don't get me wrong.
You are very much a pragmatist.
What's that?
You're a very pragmatic person. You tend to see the world how it is, not how it could be or how you necessarily want it to be. You just kind of accept the status of things and, like you usually say, move through the world accordingly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use a little more optimism. A little bit. It's fine.
I feel like I'm a bit of an optimist in certain degrees. I'm not going to say I'm an optimist, not like you. I'm definitely not fucking like you. I'd be like, what? I'd be looking at you like, do we look at the same thing? But I get what you're saying. And like, maybe once upon... Now I'm making myself fucking feel old. I understand where they're coming from as far as to, you want to see change in the world. You want to see people just not suffering just because. But that's either gonna end by, you know, you got to be willing to get dirty, and certain people are just not willing to get dirty. What is it? Oh, I'm gonna quote Dragon Ball Z. There's some people that words cannot reach.
I can agree to a certain extent. I'm not going to say that that's not true, because I mean, there's people that live in vegetative states and they literally are brain dead, so they can't understand or interpret anything you're saying. But
yeah,
as far as I would agree. There's definitely certain people. I mean, very very evil people that
and what unfortunately is, to certain degrees, you do have to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, but then everything is just burned. You fight fire with fire, everything turns to ash.
That's true. But would you rather have...
I'd rather fight fire with water. Usually works.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a forest fire and a super soaker. You're probably not going to
yeah. I just feel like, and there's even certain people our age where I'm just, again, it's that you can be as optimistic as you want, but you do have to understand really how the world works. And there's certain people that don't have a level of like really know how this thing turns.
That's true, but then, I mean, you take someone like me, I understand how the world works.
Yeah.
I just choose not. Not necessarily to accept it, because you kind of have to accept it. But it's. I'm not going to let that deter me from trying to change it.
Okay. All right. Okay. That I can get behind. Now, there's just a lot of people sometimes they're just not. They're not willing to do not do certain things because what people don't understand about a lot of these movements that have changed, you have offense and you have defense. Like, of course, defense wins games, but you still have to score to win.
Yeah.
And these are things where, right now I don't see I see people playing one way to move the ball, defend the ball. I don't see people moving on both fronts.
No, I feel like that's a really good analogy, because I feel like it's people that lean left are just running the ball down the field constantly.
Yeah.
And then you've got the people on the right just standing there and trying to stop them.
Yeah.
But not necessarily pushing for anything. I mean, you've got kind of a shitty segue, but you've got them pushing stuff in Texas right now.
Yeah. Which, this is like a 50-plus-year-old fight. Right now.
Well, it's not just the abortion bill. There's also a little aspect of 2A stuff in there, because they just passed constitutional carry, where it used to be if you wanted to carry a firearm on you, you needed your concealed weapons permit.
Yeah.
You had to take a course, you had to take a written test, you had to be certified, get your license, and then you could carry around. Now it's just, if you have a weapon and you feel the need to carry it on your person, you are allowed.
Okay. Basically, as long as you don't have a felony or anything like that, basically.
No.
Oh, so just in general.
The Second Amendment is very clear. the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, which means there's no law, no organization.
I mean, tell that to all those felons right now. Because, I mean...
I'll be honest, I feel like if you serve your time, you pay your fines, you get out of jail, I feel like you should have the right to get your gun back. Your gun and your right to vote.
At that point...
Now, I'm not saying like a fucking... a dude that goes on a goddamn mass killing spree and then gets out after 25 years and or fucking 50 years, however long he's in there, and gets out. I don't think he should get his gun back. But if I mean, we both know people that have felonies over dumb shit that should be, after they serve their time and their fines or whatever, that they should be able to get those rights back.
It's almost like, at what point is like, if I'm still going to be treated as a criminal, like, just in a different way, as far as barring me from certain jobs, barring me from different things in society, what was the point of letting me out? What was the point of putting me back into society when now it's like life should essentially, of course with probation and halfway houses, things like that, it should go back to the way it was before I got charged. To a degree.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it definitely depends on the specific charge. You go on aggravated assault with a firearm, and you gun down like 10 people. Yeah, you probably don't need to get your gun back. I honestly don't want you voting either, but I feel like it should be determined on a case-by-case basis, not just across the board.
And it's one of those things where it's like, with a lot of these things, it's they use a lot of this, the legality of like a lot of these laws and different like statutes are not really to help anybody. It's to, you got one person that does it, I'm like, we're going to make an example type of deal. Which it's like, you're now alienating sex, basically segregation, if you will, just in a different way.
What are you talking about?
So like,
you're talking about the abortion law.
No, I'm talking about the 2A.
Okay.
And we'll get back to that.
I get what you're saying.
But
it's essentially making them second-class citizens.
Yes. Where it's
but on the flip side of that, you chose to break the law. Yeah. You may not agree with it, but you know it's the law, and you made the decision to break that law. So at a certain point, that has to come into consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right on that. It's just, a lot of it's just like, and again, we talked about keeping the same energy, because people don't keep the same energy. No. That's something I don't even necessarily get mad about. It's just, you know, certain people in certain neighborhoods, you get told by certain people, I'm sorry, you get locked up, or you do this, or you do that, the courts is not going to treat you fairly. So you knowing this already know what you're up against, and it's basically, cost against reward, where you can make a lot of money doing nefarious legal activities, and things is all great.
It was all good, all gravy till you got caught.
Yeah, and then you did 15, 20 years, and now, you can't get a job to save your life. You're a janitor, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. So, I mean, of course, like, it's certainly circumstances, and even when you had those type of circumstances, it takes such an uphill battle, or like legal, to even overturn it, or even public perception to overturn it, where it's like the stuff was cut dry. Yeah. And it's like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. I mean, this whole abortion thing, my gripe with it, just, this is not going to stop people from getting abortions. Honestly, the same way prohibition didn't stop people from drinking.
What a lot of people are saying is it's a ban on abortion. It's not. It's... Yeah. Basically, they put a hard line at 6 weeks.
I mean,
because at 6 weeks is usually when you get the first signs of a heartbeat.
But I would say for the most part, like, because we've talked about this when when we were first getting into the podcast, and I just told you what my stance was, and we kind of went a little bit more in depth. Yeah, I mean, now I'm, reading into it more, where it's like you have a lot of people where it's like, well, they're not even finding out they're pregnant till 6 weeks, which with that comes into now where you're just not going to the doctor as often as
I see that's a point that I don't think they're discussing enough, because this is such a nuanced subject, and I'm sure there are people out there saying, like, well, you're a man, you shouldn't have an opinion on this, it has nothing to do with you. Well, sorry, but the people that tend to say that also seem to think that men are women. And there was, I forget what channel it was, news interview, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was being interviewed on the governor's remarks on this, and she, it was like 3 or 4 times corrected herself from saying woman to saying menstruating person.
I heard there was another saying, and there was a lot of mothers that got offended by that. Don't call me birthing
person.
Birthing person. I was like, we're not doing this. Like, they're like, no. That was a slap in the face.
It's almost at saying that like men can menstruate, which I believe I've seen that on the internet somewhere, that men can menstruate. No, sorry.
No.
Not jumping on that bandwagon.
Nah.
There's a line, but that's not really the discussion. Yeah. But those people tend to think that men can get pregnant. So guess what? I'm going to weigh in on this, whether you think I have the right to or not. But for me, it comes down to, if you are at a point in your life where you are sexually active, you are knowingly, like, every time you have sex, there are risks.
Yeah.
As an adult, you know what happens when you have sex.
Yeah.
There are a list of risks. There are the risk of an STD.
Yeah.
There is a risk of pregnancy.
Yeah.
There are precautions that can be taken.
Yeah.
Pick your form of contraception.
Yeah.
Whether it's condoms, birth control. There's obviously the morning after pill.
Yeah, but I'm hearing it's not like as far as that could be a hit or miss type of thing.
That's true. It's.
The same thing with condoms and even birth control sometimes.
That's true. Yeah. But you're consciously making this decision to have sex, whether unprotected or whatever. You knew it was a possibility. If you're adult enough to make that decision, you're adult enough to take care you're enough of an adult to deal with the consequences. And I'm not saying that just for women. I'm saying that for men and women in general. Yeah. If you are actively participating in unprotected sex, you know that there is a pretty decent possibility that you could either get someone pregnant or get pregnant.
Yeah.
So you really need to contemplate the repercussions of your actions, and I know a lot of people don't want to do that, and they don't want to hear about that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, you don't. You've had, unfortunately, you've had kids as young as 12, 13, whatever else, and then blah, blah, blah.
That comes down to parenting. If you're having a kid at 12 years old, your parents are shit. They're terrible parents. they needed to take a more active role in your upbringing and your life in general, because that means you're out doing shit at 12 years old that you should not be fucking doing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That being said, say that all happens, whatever. You still get pregnant.
Yeah.
Barring the circumstances. Now, I can understand there are situations where there is rape.
Yeah.
There is incest.
Yeah.
There are circumstances that you may not want to live with.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
Yeah.
And I can also understand medical reasons, where, like medical exemptions, where if you're carrying this baby and an issue occurs where it's
you or the baby.
Well, it's either you or the baby, or the baby's going to die, and then you will die also. I understand that a conversation needs to be had.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any woman has to carry a baby that's going to kill her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they necessarily have to carry the baby, but I don't agree with the deadline, the 6 weeks. I do and I don't, honestly. I feel like I've had to reevaluate my position on abortion.
From the last time we talked, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay.
I've had to reevaluate it for myself.
Okay.
Because I was very, very strictly pro-life. I don't feel like a person has the right to take another life out of convenience.
Okay.
That's not where that was pre-reevaluation.
Okay.
I'm still very much pro-life.
Oh.
That being said, I'm also of the opinion that I shouldn't be forced to get a vaccine.
So how can you force a person to have a child?
I'm not forcing them to have a child. There are multiple options prior to murdering an innocent life. Because when it comes down to it, that's what this is. People don't want to talk about it, but an abortion is where the doctor goes in and they slice up the fetus piece by piece and pull it out piece by piece. It's not you inject the infant and it dies and then it's removed. No.
Okay.
The procedure varies, but more often than not, the doctor goes in with surgical tools and dismembers the infant body, fetus body, whatever you want to call it, and pulls it out piece by piece.
Okay.
Usually while it's still alive. And knowing that that is what happens, I'm not okay with it.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to the Texas bill, I feel like it's important that we go through basically what it's limiting. So you have up to 6 weeks of pregnancy.
Okay.
You have free reign up until that point. If you decide it is in your best interest to get an abortion, regardless of my feelings on it, the state of Texas will allow that.
Okay.
After that point, it becomes illegal, because after that point, the state sees that infant as its own life, because it has a heartbeat, and regardless of how tiny it is, it is in itself its own separate organism.
Okay.
And initially, the word on it was that there would be exemptions for rape and incest. It turns out not to be the case. That being said, there are medical exemptions where, like we talked about, if there becomes a life or death situation, they need the attending physicians to sign off on it, and then you're good to go. I really wish this thing would go past.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like, I don't understand why it only does 30 minutes on the desktop.
I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense.
And then on the phone, I mean, we talked about this on the last podcast.
Yeah.
But, we're not recording on the podcast right now because it only does, on the desktop version, it does 30-minute sections, 30-minute intervals. But if you're doing it on your phone, on the app, it'll do up to an hour. So we're just kind of filling the time while the section process or the
which
clip
I mean,
processes.
essentially, once I get a hold of like, because I do have Audacity, I'm gonna actually figure out how I can just do the whole thing and then just basically extrapolate it and just.
All right. Real quick, my little bird told me there's a comment, so.
Oh. Okay.
All right, so Mikey says, it has always been life, but Trump made people pay attention. I'm assuming that's from earlier.
Of course.
You need some ice for that burn. I'm not sure what that's referring to. And then he said, liberals are those people. When I'm guessing that he was talking about, or we were talking about,
Of course.
the look, we need to stop. We need to stop getting into labels. We need to stop othering people. I mean, it's. We just need we need to stop doing that because it's not helping anybody. But all right, let's go ahead and get back.
And guys, we're back.
But
I mean, I get your stance because honestly, from the last time we talked, my stance has always been pro-choice. Because at the end of the day,
it's not pro. I hate that they call it pro-choice. It's pro-abortion.
All right, well then, if then I'm pro-abortion
because you have other choices before it gets to murdering a baby.
You do, but at the end of the day, it's my
choice.
But when they say it's pro-choice, it's my choice. It's my choice to do this, whether it's right or wrong. It's my choice to do this. I don't want to have the baby, so are you going to force me to have the baby? At the end of the day. Now, when we were talking about this before, it was a cutoff date, and for me it was like you got till this time to this time. After that, I don't like.
All right, so
you're stuck.
Well,
that's it.
So what is your cutoff date? How far into the pregnancy do you believe is okay?
As I was doing a little bit of research as far as the development and things like that, I thought somewhere in between 8 to 12.
8 to 12 weeks?
8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
So at that point, because I'm going to be honest, you're going to have people that just whether they were raped, whether it was incest, or whether they messed up. I don't want to have the kid. I don't want it. So
okay.
It's not I'm going to get it done. So I can either get it done in my state or I can go across lines to get it done.
That's one of the things that I don't understand why it's this is one state. If it's really that serious, you can go across the state line and get it done. Or you can move out of Texas.
Because it's not as far as
and
with the stuff about abortion, we're not going back to the times where, back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, where they put a hot ass, clothes hanger on there and went up in there. It's not. It's a lot more humane than it is now. So it's again.
That's an exaggeration. But at the
bottom. That happened. That wasn't that. It used to go down like that.
At the bottom line, I feel like this is a push by the right in Texas to, honestly make a stand
or bring back the traditional values, blah blah blah.
Well, see, it's not necessarily bringing back traditional values. Texas has for a very long time been very right leaning, very conservative leaning. It's a very leave us the fuck alone and let us do what we want to do kind of place.
Okay.
But it's always been more
but then
right
also, but then if else. That's the case, it's like, and a lot of the time with a lot of these laws and things like that, these are people that are like, this is not going to affect you, so why are you putting this into law? Because over a moral obligation.
And that's exactly it.
That's all it is.
It's a moral obligation that they believe that life is innocent and should not be taken. There's an argument that people are making that the people that are pro-life tend to be pro-capital punishment, pro-death sentence.
Oh, okay.
And to that, I say there is a big difference between a convicted murderer being put to death for his crimes and an unborn child being put to death for, the majority statistics say, for lack of a better word, convenience.
I mean, I can see that.
Because, and I mean, statistically speaking, it's not rape, incest, all these trigger words that they use to try to push the narrative.
That doesn't happen a lot. Like, even you have, certain places that I watch my media from, the Clock app and other things, where they're pushing this as like 1 in 5 have been, sexually assaulted and things like that. I'm like, it's a big ass number, and I'm talking about that's just what's been reported. I'm like, are you serious? When, like, the things have been shown where majority of sexual assaults happen where people act familiarity. These are not people that are snatching you off the street.
I was going to say, a majority of sexual assaults happen in the home.
Like, these are not...
It's people you know.
These are not, like, don't get me wrong, like, those things happen. Like, you're in a, but the probability of you're out one night and things like that, you're by yourself, and some drunk guy just drags you into a back alley. It's a very small number. Mm-hmm. It's like this,
it's a minuscule.
It's where, like,
percentage.
Which, I mean, I understand, like, like, certain women are, like, terrified to go outside or terrified to do this. I'm like,
get a gun.
I'm like, you can either be afraid forever or I don't know what to tell you. Well, because I'm not, for me, like, you would think that, like you guys are getting snatched up, like, in broad daylight. And I'm like, no, it's not even happening like that.
Get over here, girl.
Like,
you coming with me.
So,
like some caveman shit.
Yeah.
Rogan, get in the cave.
Yeah, so it's like, this is not happening like that. I'm like, if you've been through that, I understand, like, that's not gonna, make your relationship with men probably any better. It's gonna be a learning curve. It's like anything else, but, like, you can either be afraid your entire life, but for me, I'm not gonna go out of my way to change my life for your comfort. That's not going to happen. It's just not. I'm sorry to say this. Oh well.
Alright, so say you get a girl pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's 10 weeks along.
It depends it honestly depends, like, if I actually see myself with her.
What constitutes you wanting the child versus not wanting the child?
One, if I, like
right now.
Okay.
Right now, if you fucked up, didn't put on a rubber,
okay.
or it didn't work, and you got a girl pregnant, like, next week.
Okay. Honestly, and I'm going to be honest with, like, cost-risk analysis. Like, very logical about...
That, and I'm being... That's right now.
I'm being right now.
It is right now.
Yeah.
But you're not factoring in the chemical release of oxytocin in your brain when you hear the words, "You're going to be a father." Because the second that you realize you're going to be a parent, your brain starts flooding with oxytocin and it changes who you are. So, and I can understand right now, based on your lifestyle, why you would go for cost, whatever, analysis.
I mean, especially
if I... It's fucked up when you're talking about a human life.
I mean,
But I can understand it. You're not looking real good for the camera right now, but...
No, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not a perfect human being. I'm never going to pretend I am.
Nobody is.
Nobody is, but...
The last one...
No. So, I'm going to be very honest where, especially if this was like a one-night stand situation, and I had, like... I don't even know if I like this girl, or things like that.
Alright, so say you find out... Now, alright, so one night stand, it's going to be a while before you figure out she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Before she figures it out.
Yeah.
Y'all have a couple dates, y'all really start vibing,
yeah.
You're really liking this girl, and then next month you find out that she's pregnant, and it's yours.
Alright. So, again, I'm going to go to, I'm gonna Doctor Strange this shit, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about a million other possibilities to where, alright, where is she at in her life? Is she, like, all these type of different things.
I'm gonna fine tune this scenario. And then we'll move on to some other stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Fine ass girl. Loves anime, loves to sit down and watch shows, got her own business. Got a nice little girl dog for Buddy to get along with. Right. Y'all vibe at every single level, and you start getting in your head like, damn, I could really see something happening from this. She gets pregnant. You start thinking, all right, let's see what happens. And she tells you she wants an abortion. You've already gotten excited thinking that I'm going to be a dad. This girl, I really can see something happening.
Yeah.
This could turn into a very happy life.
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to talk her out of it, or are you just gonna accept the decision?
No, I'm not. Now, and this is full honesty. We're gonna sit down and have a conversation, but at the end of the day, if she wants to go and do, I can't. There's nothing I can do legally. So at that point, after she, I mean, I'm gonna try to talk.
Well, there's plenty of states that if you are the father, you can sue to not get the abortion.
No, that I didn't know, but I honestly probably wouldn't do that.
Fact check me on that.
I'm gonna have the conversation with her, and if she says I'm not ready for a child, I'm like, okay. But then what's going to happen is I'm probably not going to look at her the same again. I'm probably just going to have to be like, I'm gone. Like you have everything that I want.
But you want to murder my child, so I can't be with you.
Yeah. And don't be wrong. It might have took me years to find you, but I'll find another one. That's unfortunate. Now, on the flip side of the realistic shit, if I was messing around with a girl and she got pregnant and I didn't see this shit going anywhere, if you want to have the baby, I'll support it. But if you don't, I'm going to pay you that couple $100 and keep the fuck pushing. It's as simple as that. I can make another child. I can.
For me, at the end of the day, it comes down to...
He could be the president. He could do great things.
That's what I'm saying. Is you
or he could not.
Yes, but you cannot gauge the potential of human life.
We can't. But when you make a decision, you have to be prepared for the consequences. And unfortunately, if that decision gets made, you're going to have to live with it. So anybody that gets an abortion, and for whatever reason, let's go say you have the something goes haywire and you can't have any kids. You wanted to have kids. You made that decision. You're done now.
Well, there was a story. I mean, and obviously there's situations where it's there's no other choice.
Yeah.
Like there was a story I was reading about a woman who she got pregnant, but the egg never descended out of her. I apologize, I can't remember it. The egg never descended to where it needed to be.
Okay.
It was out of the fallopian tube into the actual uterus. So, if the baby grew, she would have died. It would have expanded in that area.
It would have
killed her. Yes.
Okay.
So it not happy with the decision.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it needed to happen, or she would have died.
Yeah. I mean, you even have you have a lot of girls now that are very career driven that are like, I just want to be the cool auntie. I don't want to ever have a kid. And they're like our age or even younger. I'm talking about 22, 23, and saying, I want to get my tube tied. I don't want to ever have a kid. And there's a lot of doctors that are like, it's like, I don't want kids. Who am I to tell them, like, no, you're gonna have a kid? Like, no. Now,
bro, there are certain decisions that I feel like you should not be allowed to make until you're 25. That is one of them. Getting your tubes tied or getting a vasectomy. I mean, shit, I don't believe you should be able to vote till you're 25. But that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, again, if you make the decision, I don't want to hear any boo-hoos, anything like that. You made the decision. You made your bed lying. That's it. There's no, you have a lot of people that, there's no coulda, woulda, shouldas around here. No. But, I mean, I want kids eventually, but, I've seen that play, I've seen the whole baby mama situation play out so many times in my family, even some people I know, close, and it's not where you want to be. And it's just not, especially where it's just literally the only reason why we're tied together forever is because of this child. That's it. I've seen it. I've seen it happen a million and one different times, and that's not even good for the child. It's not.
I can understand that, but I feel like it takes a level of strength to be able to make a life with someone that you don't necessarily want to be with for the benefit of your child.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have gotten better to where it's we're not going to stay together because that just makes it worse.
Well,
but then they co-parent to the best of their ability, which I've actually seen more and more in that over the last couple of years. Because you'd have people the most toxic, shit, you've seen this shit before. I'm that's not the move.
Well, they'll use the kid to get back at the other person, and
it's a bargaining chip. And I'm nah, I'm not
shit.
Exactly. And I've seen it done so many times. I'm just again, if I get anybody pregnant and they want to have the kid, we're going to co-parent. We're not going to play house because I've already seen that done. So we have a...
No, that is...
No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it.
Because look,
this
situations that you have in your head, that's not you, and that's not her. So you can't. that was a big issue that I had to get over. Is you can't take other people's relationships and copy and paste. It's not the same thing. It's not going to be, and it's 100% based on you and that other person and the decisions y'all make. So it doesn't matter how other relationships turned out.
Okay.
It depends on you, how much work you're willing to put into the relationship, how much work they're willing to put into the relationship. Like, y'all might not like each other at all. Y'all might not even be able to stand each other. But somewhere in that first 18 years, y'all might find a time where, oh shit, he's a good dad. Oh shit, she's a good mom. Oh man. Look at each other differently. And that shit can grow.
Yeah. I mean,
and that could actually turn out better for y'all and the child.
Yeah.
So you can't look at other situations and think that that's how it's going to be for you. Because I have seen a lot of fucked up relationships in my life. A lot of fucked up relationships. And I know that you have as well.
Legendary.
But at the end of the day, your relationships will only be like that if you allow it.
Yeah. A lot of that shit just you look at it in hindsight where it's like, this shit didn't even go down the way it went down.
No. And that was a decision made. But
yeah.
It is what it is.
And I mean you're right, because like if I who knows how I feel, like I'm saying it now because I'm saying it from a logical, but when you get in those type of situations, logic goes out the window. It's going to be like...
It does, because... But you got to understand, a lot of people that are coming from that pro-life stance, usually they're parents, so they understand what it is to look at that child and feel that bond and feel that love. And it's almost like they could imagine what it would be like to make that decision after knowing what they know, having the child.
Yeah.
And it would almost be to the point where they feel like they think you're making the wrong decision, and they think they know what's best for you, which is never a good thing, and it never really leads to good things.
At the same time too, it's like we know a couple people that, you know, good people, maybe not the worst, but you were never supposed to be a parent. Ever. Like, this was just, like, not necessarily abortion, but maybe putting the child in someone else's hands would have had a better life.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, see, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Now, when I say... you know what? I think we touched on this enough.
Yeah. We went pretty much almost...
Yeah. I mean, we can beat this thing to death over and over for hours, but, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the law in Texas now.
And it's not really...
I mean, shit, it could be overturned next week.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not... It's not like someone is... Like, people always like to bring the raids or something like... A lot of these American issues, we like to go to, like, the nth degree. Like, oh my God, it starts with this. Now it's Handmaid's Tale or whatever the type of dumb shit that is. And I'm like,
well, you see,
slow your horses.
You see how they're exaggerating like that? The right is the same way with the vaccine mandates, thinking that the government's going to go full authoritarian.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video out of France?
No.
Of the woman that was in a mall shopping, unvaccinated, and cops in riot gear chased her, tackled her to the ground, and beat her with batons.
That makes no sense at all.
At that point, it is no longer it's no longer about
It's just
COVID.
it's
not
about
long
about control.
vaccine. It's you didn't do what we told you to do, so you're gonna face the consequences.
And what was it? Like Bill Burr had he had a good take on it, because it's like, if the government was like, and let's not say the vaccines were trying to kill us or things like that, it's killing the people that are listening. So is it really? That doesn't make any. Logic doesn't make any sense.
Unless that's what they want. Unless they want population control.
But what? But why would you want? Why would you want, like, the people that are in grants instead of combatants?
Well,
wouldn't it make more sense to be like, all right, well, after I get these combatants out of the way, nobody's gonna fucking oppose me. Nobody's gonna oppose me. So
that's not true.
Well,
there will always be opposition to tyranny.
But
it's easy to demonize someone that outright opposes you. It's easy. I mean, not that this. See, talking about stuff like this, people say they say you're leaning into conspiracy theories, but it's like, yeah, I don't think a Jewish citizen in early 40s Germany thought that they would be packed onto a train, had their head shaved, thrown into a shower, and then poison gas pumped into the room.
Yeah.
I mean, government is one of the... More people have died to government
than anything else
in the world.
Well, you have a lot of groups in this country that, unfortunately, government tried to damn near exterminate them, and that's why they are the way they are. But yeah, I mean, I feel like people can talk about they're priming us for all these things. I mean, you have people that are opening their eyes. You have people that are just gonna be like slowed to sleep. But
well, speaking of government, let's talk about Fauci. So
the elf himself.
I don't know. Did you get a chance to go on the Intercept and read any of the article? Okay. So, just a little backstory. The Intercept is a journalism publication, very left-leaning. It was founded by Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald was the journalist who worked with Eric Snowden to release the information that the government was spying on us. Glenn Greenwald has since left The Intercept. Creative differences. He didn't like the way they were doing things. But I mean, at that point, he was just kind of a contributor. He had some say in certain things, but he'd really kind of taken a step back because he didn't. Anyway, The Intercept did a deep dive on the Fauci emails and the information that was released, and I can only assume was an attempt to try to back him up and
backfire,
exonerate him, I guess, but it literally proved that he lied. Proved. Bro, there is an email.
Okay.
That I forget the name of the guy he sent it to. He said, I'm going into a meeting. You have tasks that need to be completed today. I'm sending you a document that I need you to go through. And in the name of the document said, and granted, he went in front of Congress and openly stated that they weren't funding any gain-of-function research. The fucking title of the PDF file he sent him literally said, coronavirus gain-of-function I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it literally had gain of function in the title.
Okay. So, did he was this like just... So he tried to distance himself from it completely and end up completely backfiring in his face?
I believe Fauci knew from the get. I believe he knew because he's the one that had to sign off on everything. None of the research would have happened without his sign off.
So they
wouldn't have gotten the money without him signing off on it.
What I don't understand is why lie? Like,
because then he loses everything, and then probably he probably would have been strung up as a scapegoat, saying, "Well, it's his fault for coronavirus."
Okay.
Which, I mean, realistically,
yeah.
he's complicit. I mean, our government has to take some responsibility for it.
I mean,
but
they have to, they're gonna have to pin it on somebody. I'm surprised they haven't.
I don't think anything's gonna happen to him. The dude perjured himself, committed perjury. He lied to Congress. It's minimum 5-year sentence.
Okay.
I don't think he'll see a day in jail.
I mean, are most of these people seeing any type of jail time over the... Like, I'm talking about not just this administration, but the Trump administration, even the Obama administration, even the even Bush. Like, did anybody get? I mean, I feel like once you get high up in the government and you know enough stuff, it's like you're almost damn near untouchable in a certain regard, or they can't pin certain things on you. They can't, assassinate you because that just raises more questions. So
tell it to JFK or Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about back then.
How long ago do you think JFK was?
It's 50 years ago.
Okay.
Well, 60 years ago. That's not... I'm just talking about over the last, couple administrations, he's very low on the totem pole, as far as to, why not put him out there?
My question is, why is he still in front of the camera? This dude has been wrong about everything he's publicly stated. Yeah. He has went back and forth and I mean, he's flip-flopped on every single thing he's come out and said. And I mean, it's not the first time he's been caught lying. Yeah. But this time it was to Congress. So you guys missed a little bit of the conversation we had, but at what point are these people held accountable?
I don't know. Not at this point, man. I'm just, it's really weird because it's we see these things now more than ever before, and it's you're pissing on me and saying that it's raining.
Well, no, instead of saying it's rain, you're laughing while you do it. Yeah.
So, I mean, with all that and, the government and things like that, let's transition to Rogan. And the lovely media that I saw a clip of his podcast. They're like, you just outright lied on me. It's I expect this from other little news stories. I don't expect this from CNN, which is
no, this is exactly what you expect from CNN anymore. But it's not just CNN. I mean, it's USA Today, it's MSNBC. Rachel Maddow is going flat out saying that exactly that it's and if you don't know, Rogan got COVID, and it was surprise, surprise. He came to Florida, did some shows, which we went and seen him at the Orlando show, which it was killer. Yeah. I mean, the headliner, Tony Hinchcliffe came in, and then he came in.
Like riffed for like an hour.
It was great.
Yeah.
But obviously he got COVID. He attributed it to going out drinking and playing pool all night or whatever.
Yeah. It's definitely a possibility.
Now, he got home from the trip and he realized, oh shit, I feel like shit. I probably should isolate myself. He went to the other end of his house, kept away from his wife and kids. Yeah. Got tested, turned out he had it. So he talked to... Now, you're talking about one of the most health-conscious people on the planet. Yeah. This dude takes a lot of medication, supplements, vitamins on a daily basis, strictly to keep his body running as optimally as possible. He beat it in 3 days. Yeah. Now, they used his words where they threw the kitchen sink at it. Yeah. He took ivermectin, which is what everybody is losing all their shit about. He took a Z-Pack. He took prednisone, which is a steroid. He took monoclonal antibodies, which is the Regeneron treatment. Regeneron's just the brand name, but it's monoclonal antibodies. Yeah. And if anything, that's probably what did it.
The Regeneron?
Yes. But he also took IV treatments of extremely high doses of vitamin, like vitamin IV treatments.
Plus, he's been...
super high doses of vitamin C.
Plus, all the stuff he's been taking just on a regular basis. Yes. So it's not... Like, I would expect someone like him to be able to beat it, to be honest with you.
Well, he was fine in 3 days.
Yeah.
Negative in 3 days.
Negative in 3 days.
COVID negative in 3 days.
Wow.
He felt it coming on. And now he had this entire thing set up prior. Like in the off chance that he does get COVID, he had everything prearranged where he would go to the doctor, they would test him, get symptoms. If it proved he had it, this is the medicine they would give him. This is the regimen he would do. And he implemented it, and he was COVID negative 3 days later, after the positive test.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand, like, and even if he did take some type of, it worked, so I don't understand the problem.
Well, it's ivermectin is a, it is a drug, it's a anti-parasitic drug. Okay. It's used to treat a wide variety of illnesses and conditions. Okay. I mean, a lot of the refugees and immigrants that are coming into the country right now are mandated to take ivermectin. Okay. To make sure that any kind of parasites aren't in their body when they enter the country.
I mean, that makes sense.
200 million people a year, 200 million people annually are prescribed ivermectin. It's listed on the by the UN, UN and the WHO, okay, the World Health Organization. All right. It is listed as an essential medication.
So what? So if it's all that, what's the problem? I don't like.
That's the thing, is they're trying to make something out of nothing. They're taking the fact that people are going to Tractor Supply and getting ivermectin out of the livestock vaccination fridge. Okay. You can walk into Tractor Supply right now, and you can get a bottle of antibiotics, dewormers, anti-parasitic drugs. All right. all kinds of stuff to deal with horses, cows, any kind of livestock. Because at any given moment, say one of them gets an infection, the vet might not be able to come out immediately. So you run to a Tractor Supply, get an antibiotic, give it to them till the vet can get there. Or you just don't feel like paying the vet bills and you want to give them their inoculations yourself.
Yeah. So,
well, there's people that are getting sick taking a version of ivermectin formulated for horses.
Well, even though this is the fault of the media, this is on the negligence of the people too.
That's very true.
Like, but it reminds me of like the hydrochloroquine that
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah. Or like when
you're talking about the dude that took it and died, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that story is he took chloroquine, which is a different chemical compound.
Okay.
And it's, I forget whether it's a fish tank cleaner or something like that. But it turned out his wife convinced him to take it to kill him.
Oh.
But nobody talks about that.
Oh, okay.
She was charged.
Okay.
And
all right.
Yeah, she was charged for doing that.
All
because
right.
she got him all wound up and said, "Oh, well, it's right here on the label."
Okay.
And turned out she just convinced him to take that to kill him. Not even the same. That incident was complete ignorance on that man's part.
Okay.
And a little sadism on his wife's part.
But isn't the people going out and getting this isn't that ignorance on their part?
Yes. That's people being stupid. Do not go to Tractor Supply and do not take medication formulated for anything other than a human being. The ivermectin that Joe Rogan got was prescribed by a doctor, and he picked it up at a pharmacy.
Of course it was.
But what you got to understand is the ivermectin for horses can have different chemicals in it.
Okay.
That horses can their bodies can process, but we can't.
Okay.
Now, granted, that medication, that specific horse paste, is dosed by weight. So you got people taking the dosage for a 1,200-pound animal and wondering why they're having adverse side effects.
Wait, they can get that big? I thought they were like maybe. I didn't know fucking horses got that fucking
horses big. Can absolutely be 1,000-pound animals.
Oh, I thought they were like maybe like 7, maybe 8.
How is that different? You're talking about an animal that can carry someone.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but
up to 200 pounds at a full sprint for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Horses are very big animals.
So, what did the media specifically? Because I know they took all the things he said out of context.
Well, they're trying to push. It's almost like they have an ulterior motive. And they don't want any kind of positive treatment.
They don't want anybody going outside of just getting the COVID shot.
Well,
this doesn't. I
was going to say Rogan touched on that, and he said it was possibly because the EUA, the emergency use authorization on the vaccinations is only they only stay in effect if there isn't a viable treatment for the sickness.
Okay.
Normally that would be true, but since the FDA approved the one vaccine, I mean, realistically, the other vaccines should have lost their EUA because there was a FDA approved.
I thought it was only Pfizer and Moderna. Is there others?
Well, they're coming out with, I know Pfizer is doing one, and then Merck. It's either Merck. It might be, no, I think it's Merck or Merck. They're coming out with a tablet,
of course
a tablet version of, it's just going to be, this is your daily COVID preventative. mean, realistically, they've found a way to make treatment
commodified.
Well, they've made a way to make it endless.
Yeah.
Because look.
I mean,
whether or not you want to get the vaccination or not, the people that initially got vaccinated, that shit only lasts for so long. That is
so it's not the end. You have to get it again.
No, that's what they're talking about with the boosters. Is you're going to have to get it every 5 to 6 months. Look, if you could put the information in front of me and without a doubt prove to me that if I get this vaccine, it will not only stop me from getting it, but stop me from spreading it to other people, I would be the first fucking one in line.
Okay.
I would absolutely get the vaccine if I knew for a fact that it would stop me from getting the virus and then stop me from spreading it. But that is not the case. So what the fuck would I even get it for?
Okay.
To make other people feel better? No. I'm sorry.
No, that's stupid. But so from my I heard from like actual professional, because I asked the same question. I'm like, you're still gonna get it, but then I'm looking at it as well, where it's like, okay, I need to see the cases where people are unvaccinated, they get it, because if the death rates are still the same, what is the point of me getting it?
Well, take a look at Italy. Italy, people from the age 12 years old and older, 80% of the population is vaccinated.
Okay.
There hasn't been a change in the number of infections or deaths. It's like they didn't even get vaccinated.
Okay. So, like, if that's and realistically, because I'm not vaccinated myself, like they keep saying the stuff about we're gonna go back to the normal. I am sorry to tell you this. You too. This is normal now. This is the new normal. Like, this is not, like, I don't, like, what do you guys want? Like, I don't care about necessarily wearing a mask. Now, personally for me, it's annoying. I don't necessarily like it. But if I go to a store, or if I go to a restaurant.
I just want options. I want the option to wear it. If you're going to make me wear a mask to come into your business, I'm not going to patronize your business.
That makes sense.
I'm not going to buy anything from you. I'm not going to give you my money.
No, that makes sense.
I want that option.
Well, I mean, essentially you do. The only thing
because I live in Florida.
Okay.
If I lived in New York City, that would not be the case.
Okay. My only thing about it is, especially in Florida and these other states where you don't have to come into my store. If you don't want to buy my rules, don't buy. Don't act like because you're throwing your money at me like I'm a monkey. Or
dance monkey.
Yeah, like no. And you see these videos for it's ridiculous. Where it's like I wish I was in a store. Cause are you serious? And these are people our age and older. What that shows me is, one, you never got your ass whipped.
You're talking about the people that make a scene and freak out because they're being made to do something.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking walk out.
Yeah. I don't understand. No. I don't understand that. It's like,
you don't want them to tell you what to do, but you don't get to come into their place of business and tell them how to run shit.
I'm like, what? When did this start happening? When did this start being okay? Because I don't remember,
the last 5 years. It's this presidency and the last presidency made it to where you have to pick a side. And if you're not on my side, you're against me. So I have to fight you tooth and nail every chance I get. And it's literally tearing our country apart.
It's honestly the most...
I mean, you see far left radical ideas being put into place in New York City.
Yeah.
You see far right ideals being instilled in Texas.
Yeah.
And they're very much reactionary of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 100% sure that the abortion bill in Texas is a response to not only a lot of what's going on currently, but the very high left-leaning and liberal population that has begun to move to Texas. A lot of people are leaving California, going to Texas,
yeah,
and they're bringing their ideology and their politics with them.
Yeah.
So I feel like this was maybe a
perfect storm, almost
a Hail Mary.
Okay.
To try to either
kind of tip the scale.
I feel like
almost.
I feel like it was a move to basically say either get in line or leave, because you're not going to come here and bring that bullshit with you.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason you left where you left, and you're not going to come here and bring it.
Which
because you're just going to ruin this place like you ruined that
one. Which makes complete sense. Like, why would, like, you left for it? I'm sorry, like, this is not a pick and choose. This is not a pick and choose about this. No, we live a certain way here. So, again, you don't have to agree with it, but you're not going to change it into where you left from.
No. Well, it's like you came here for the economy and the jobs and not necessarily the culture, but
definitely not the culture.
You came here for a reason. Why would you come here and then change that reason?
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm really glad we live in Florida, but I just never understood that. It's like, with all these different options of way you want to get something, again, you don't have to ever go to the place again if they require you to go to mass. But if you actually like the thing it is, and you don't have a mask, you don't want to sit in there, there's contact delivery, there's all these different options to where
if there's a restaurant where you really like the food, but they make you wear a mask to come inside, Grubhub that shit.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you have
like
other options.
Yeah.
And going into somebody's place of business and making a fucking scene and acting like a child is not the move.
I've never seen where you've had people to say, you know what, that guy was right. That one,
these people, I guarantee you, have never been told to go into the backyard and go get a switch.
And it's one. I mean, some of them have never been punched in the mouth, but it's like, it's not even like, these are people around like our age, and then what's worse is they're older. I'm talking about way older, where it's just like, I'm sorry, fuck around and find out. And then,
I think a lot of these altercations, it boils down to a lack of purpose.
Isn't that just an excuse at the end of the day?
Is it? There's nothing more dangerous than an alienated person with no purpose.
They're very easily manipulated, and they're very, quick to follow anything.
Very prone to rash action. Don't put a lot of thought into things, leading to a lot of the issues that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it's
purpose in a person's life is, it's what we all look for. And when people don't find a purpose in life, realistically, they just continue looking. But at a certain point, they're going to find one that's not beneficial.
I mean, then you have people that, they know something is wrong, and then once they get caught on camera, and, they start to, lose everything and get their money messed up and things like that. Just keep certain things to yourself. It's not that hard.
I was reading this paper, and it brought up this interesting dynamic between radical jihadists and white supremacists, and how realistically similar they are. Not necessarily an ideology or belief, but it comes down to a lot of the followers that get caught up in the radical jihadism and white supremacy and a lot of these hate groups is young people that are alienated and they have no purpose. So they find a place where they're quote unquote accepted and brought into the fold, and it leads to terrible things.
There's a lot of people they would never even put both of those two things together, and I'm like, no. As far as like not necessarily ideology, like you were saying, but it's like, you know, just going about it of how they move, like, but
their recruiting tactics, the kind of people they target to bring into their ranks. Shockingly similar.
Alright, I think we should go a little bit more lighter. So, if you guys did not know, Saturday was my birthday. And I'm 30 years old. Did not believe I was going to get here. And didn't know where I was going to be at 30. But it's been an interesting...
I'd say you're doing all right.
It's been an interesting ride. It wasn't necessarily touch and go, but like...
Fuck around, find out you got one of them Tinder girls pregnant.
Oh my god. That would be horrible. But where like... when I graduated high school in 2009 at 17 years old, it was the years after that just wasn't. It was a whirlwind. Like I can kind of describe my life to if you mixed Forrest Gump with a Tyler Perry movie. Yeah, I've had my trials and tribulations like anybody else, but yeah, it's been interesting.
Maybe one day, if y'all are lucky enough, Aaron will share that with you.
But yeah, but with that being the case, we went to go see Shang Chi, and not gonna spoil anything for you guys because it just came out on Friday, but I'm excited for this next phase. What about you?
Before we get to that, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I feel like there were some things they could have done differently that would have made it better.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good movie in and of itself, but it almost, for me, it felt like, they kind of just clipped scenes together.
A little bit. Even how it started, and it's again, we're not going to spoil the movie for you, but it kind of just goes like even that first scene.
This is something that we can say that won't spoil it for you. So it starts with him in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which is like they could have just like why go from San Francisco to China? Why even have that in there? Like, I understand...
He's from there.
He's not from San Francisco.
No, he's from China.
I understand, but, like, why take it to San Francisco for 10 minutes? To try to bring in the American and Chinese audience?
Essentially.
Give them each a kind of...
I mean, essentially, because, like, without that was literally the only thing that... Because... Even I didn't realize that, like, that's probably the highest Asian populations in San Francisco.
Okay.
Like,
I mean,
that I had no idea. And even when I watched Warrior, and that was kind of like, you have people that, you know, we're not talking about like first, second generation. We're talking about fifth, sixth, seventh generation been here.
You're talking about
like
17, 1800s.
Well, post Civil War,
Pre-Civil War. We're talking about the initial expanse out there.
Well, I'm talking about as far as when like the Chinese Americans really came over here was post Civil War. After.
No, it was pre-Civil War because I mean they're the ones that built the goddamn railroads.
I mean they did. Okay.
And once they got all the way out there, they kind of just stayed.
Yeah. I mean, there was like, yeah. I mean, for the most part, it's just I didn't. And even like now, like when I think about like population of like you got San Francisco, you got a lot of the Bay Area, you have like Seattle for some reason.
Rip to Seattle.
And then
I'm sorry, rip to Portland.
Yeah, and then you have like Toronto, and then like maybe
Canada?
Yeah, there's a lot of Asians in Canada. I had a couple
French.
Some of them do. I met a couple of like back in the day, almost 10 years. I met a couple Canadians.
Canadians?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the most trippy thing I've ever experienced was a very, very old Asian man speaking fluent Spanish. Like, without missing a beat, transition from Mandarin to Spanish, and it sounded like he'd been speaking his entire life.
Well, also, too, like, because, like Filipino...
The height's right, but...
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
But then I didn't realize, like, because, like, when I was growing up, like, when you're in the barbershop, I noticed there's certain, like, Asians and certain Hispanics that look mad similar at one point. Like, as far as hair texture, things like that, to where, like, almost kind of like how your hair is, like, when you cut it, when you get cut it, it's buzzy. It's buzzy.
Hmm?
If I went to cut your hair, right, and then it's, like, it has, like, a buzz look. And then if you cut someone that is Asian, they have a buzz look. The same thing with Hispanics. It's a buzz look. But you guys can both slick your hair up and stuff like that. But, going back to...
I just like watching you struggle. Sorry.
That wasn't struggling. That was like, you wanted me to elaborate. Shit. Like, all right. But, I mean, that was the only thing that tied the, like, American, I guess you want to say the American culture to that, because then the rest of the movie was...
There are a lot of high-profile Chinese actors in that movie, and
some legends.
They carried that movie. Like, the acting was killer.
Yeah. It
was definitely oriented way more to China than it was to America.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, realistically, this movie's for China. We're just going to let y'all see it, too.
But, it performed. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, one of the executives were, we were talking about this last week, how it was an experiment. It's like, the experiment performed. I'm just, I think the funniest thing, like, there were certain tropes that I seen in the movie. How, you have the character that played the Mandarin.
Shut up.
I was the little scene where his his mom was dancing. Like, everybody's probably seen it on TikTok or other social media or whatever. But I made a comment where he came in there ready to kill, ended up hitting the girl. But
as far as this next phase, I'm pretty excited for the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see some of the old villains come back.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Willem Dafoe back as the Green Goblin.
Yeah. Alfred Molina.
Doc Ock.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Alfred Molina. I never remember his name.
Yeah. Also, also, I think they might have Sandman in there. And they might have the lizard from the Andrew Garfield one. They're having Electro. He's gonna
see how are they gonna do that? Because wasn't that guy the one that plays Vision?
No, that was Paul Bettany. Jamie, that's Paul Bettany who plays Vision.
Shit, that's right.
Yeah. So
big forehead, blonde hair.
Yeah, big forehead, blonde hair. Honestly, like that revitalized his career.
Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
Like his American career. Paul Bettany's been a British icon forever.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the crossover, like, because there's a lot of like English actors that come over here and like you've been doing it for like 10 years, like people that I didn't realize that like just because they made their first U.S. debut, like they've been doing shit over in the UK for like 10 years. And like you almost like people don't realize like, no, this is the first. I'm like, nah, you've been popping over here. But it's one of those things when you make that transition over to here, you just get the money just drops.
It's there's definitely a lot more money in the American market than the British market.
I mean, we just consume like crazy. So I mean, it's if you want to be an entertainer of anything, like you're going to make money over here if you can make it translate and come. Like,
I'll be honest, I would like to see some of that die off because I understand.
We love it
from a cultural and like art perspective, but at the end of the day, you're not really contributing anything.
You're not. It's just we will pay like we doing that like we pay millions upon billions of dollars to be entertained, and it's something where, I mean, for better or worse, a lot of this entertainment has literally has made it to where a lot of these corporations have been able to capitalize and do God knows what. So, I mean, you were talking about this even presently that they could stop making films right now and we wouldn't consume it all. I'm like,
Oh no, that's
general.
There's so much content produced on a daily basis that we could stop producing content online, whatever, today, and we would never consume it all in our lifetime. It would never happen. We're talking like generations worth of content. Millions upon millions of hours of content on the internet right now that you couldn't get through if you tried.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, like...
Until Neuralink goes live.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like...
And it's like...
But...
Damn, I know everything.
I feel like I might not be the first one. I mean, we talked about this because the chip might fry. There might literally like an overload. That's what I'm thinking.
No, it'll be like different versions of Xbox where you'll pay more for a larger hard drive. My concern is, like you can remote hack a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, especially the newer ones, you can remote hack the computer without even being inside the vehicle and get it to open the vehicle and start, and then you can just drive away with the vehicle.
So imagine you can hack a person. Like, imagine, that movie Gerard Butler was in, Gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. Where we're just when instead of like having like a player, like basically you're playing on the joystick, you're basically controlling a person.
Yeah, I mean,
I like those type of things where it's like I feel like it comes into the you're essentially playing God at that point.
That's true. But at the same time, there are limitations on it where obviously they had to willingly participate.
Yeah.
And then you have to be within the certain area for them to be able to control you. Because the second you step out of the area, you're...
Yeah. I mean, like, even you have the people where it's like they're doing it as a job type of deal. Like, basically a sin.
Yeah.
Which is... That sounds so terrifying. Like...
Not about it.
That's just like... Nah.
The idea of being consciously aware of my actions while my body does whatever someone else wants it to do.
Yeah. Nah. That's almost that's kind of like not necessarily the equivalent, but you know how people have multiple personality disorder, and then you have I don't know, they have all these type of representations. I've seen several movies. Sometimes it's like you're sitting there below the glass, and you're just kind of watching these things happen where you're trying to take care of your body. Stuff like Split, which is like either 20 different people inside you. Good. That shit is terrifying.
Good movie. Didn't realize it tied into the Unbreakable saga until...
Did you watch Glass?
The new one, I didn't.
I still didn't watch it.
I forgot it came out for a very long time, and it's...
it was one of the... again, there's so many...
Well, it's like Unbreakable was such a... It was like one of my favorite movies.
Really? It was a classic.
Well, it was a superhero movie without it being like...
Very realistic.
Yeah, it was a like the dude just had intuitions about things, and he was just not like Superman strong, but like way stronger than he ever had any reason to be.
Okay.
And I don't know, it was just really good. It was really good movie to me.
Yeah, but I mean, even like when I saw Split, it was I didn't think it was going to be that good, especially how it starts off. And
I wasn't fully on board initially, but I'm like I got to a certain point through it, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep watching it.
Okay. And it was like, I'm like, this is taking a very dark turn, a very dark turn, and I'm like, okay, is this like, this is happening, okay? So, I mean, they got a whole bunch of like movies and shows that are about to go and tie into. So it's one of those things where if you're not watching everything, you're not going to be, caught up. Which I'm just hoping. I'm just hoping the majority shows are good. The only one I guess I still didn't watch was WandaVision yet. I still didn't watch it.
Just don't waste your time. You're not missing anything.
Loki was good though. Did you watch?
It was good. Loki was very good.
That was what I like about Marvel is
like if you're planning on, like, obviously a lot of people are going to end up watching the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you're going to watch those movies, you have to watch Loki.
Yeah.
You can probably skip WandaVision.
Yeah.
At the very least, the first 3 episodes.
But what I like about the Marvel Universe is even the villains, you understand where they're coming from. When it's just like, I'm not just trying to just take over the world for no reason. It gives that human element to where it's
it's character development.
I'm not just bad to be bad.
Well, that's one thing that I wasn't super impressed with Shang-Chi. Is it was like one of the first ones where they didn't really go too in depth in the main character's development. I mean, it was there, and it like there was a story, but it seemed rushed.
I mean, it's one of those things which like the motivation was kind of like you kind of just get thrust into it. I'm like, okay.
I feel like they should have played up on the relationship between the masked dude,
yeah,
and him,
because
he supposedly is the one that trained him.
Yeah,
and like I feel like there should have been it didn't even necessarily have to be a good relationship.
Yeah,
like almost an antagonistic relationship. But it was like I don't even think the dude even talked.
No, he didn't talk.
So that in itself seemed like a missed opportunity for me.
Now, we saw the first post. There was two. I didn't realize that because I saw something that was like it's been a while since I watched the Marvel movie. I forgot that too. So, it sets up. It's like it sets it up nice for like especially the relationship between him and his sister is like almost kind of better. It's better than it was when it started. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. We might as well end with the birthday. The birthday. Well.
Oh my God. Okay.
Before you say anything, I am not a psychopath.
So like this isn't really going to translate well on the audio, but
it's probably not.
For the video, so we were at my mom's house, and we were kind of doing a co-celebration of Aaron's birthday and my mom's, which they're one day apart. Aaron's the 4th and Rose the 5th.
Yeah.
And we did the cake and the singing thing for my mom, and we kind of intentionally left it at that for about 5 minutes because I seen a little look of disappointment on Aaron's face because he's like, "Oh, I don't get singing, fuck," which is exactly what I was hoping for. Which at 5 minutes later, I came out with his cake and candles, and we did the whole thing over again. It's like, you really thought I forgot about you, huh? And so we did all that, and we're all just sitting there eating cake and ice cream, just kind of hanging out, and unfortunately, one of my sister's daughters, that's right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have just said niece.
Well, yes, my niece, one of the twins, Juno, came over, and the twins are very grabby. They're not at the realization stage yet of
you lose your phone very fast.
Yes, it's whatever you have is mine. So poor little Juno runs over and grabs his plate, and what was left of his cake that wasn't on the fork fell on the floor. If you know Aaron at all, any kind of cake loss is a tragedy. I dare anybody listening to hand this man a piece of cake and slap it on the floor. I guarantee you it'll be Armageddon. So this happens, and he looks at her, and he looks down at the piece of cake, and he looks at her, and he reaches down, and he grabs the piece of cake, and he grips her up by the back of the head, and he smears this cake all in her face.
In my defense, I did not grip her up by the back of the head.
It was aggressive. At which point she immediately started crying.
I thought it was funny, but
you did. She is scarred for life.
She's not going to be scarred for
life. You
life.
negatively influenced her. Now she's going to be terrified of black people. Way to go, Aaron.
In my defense, it was good cake.
She dropped my cake.
Nah, but yeah.
2-year-old assault your cake. So you assaulted a 2-year-old.
Well, I did it.
Like, it seemed okay, but after the fact, I was like, that's probably not okay. Like, that's some shit you do to, like...
Probably
Jason, yeah, that's fine. Jackson is still a little too aggressive.
Okay.
That's something you do to an adult.
I felt so bad afterwards. Like,
it was pretty funny, but I don't recommend ever doing that again.
Yeah.
My sister will probably drug kick you. Yeah. If you're lucky. Yeah. But yeah, so moral of the story, don't fuck with Aaron's cake. Yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up for us.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us guys tonight, and I'm sure we lost a couple of viewers with what we talked about tonight, but at the end of the day, we're going to keep talking about things, so
yeah,
hope to see you back.
Yeah, and before I end this off, I know we were possibly talking about changing the name, and I've given some thought, and I'm not necessarily not open to it, but just like my co-host said, you're here because you want to be here, and we're not going to go anywhere we're tolerated. We're going to go where we're celebrated. So, with that being the case, guys, we're out of here.
Have a good night.
What's today? So, 30. It stopped?